I'm going to show you guys the best simple online business you can start right now that's going to help you generate over $10,000 every single month, month after month, year after year for decades to come. This is by far the best one and the most simple one to get started today because you don't really need anything else besides you. Now, you're probably wondering, who the hell is this guy and why you should listen to me? And that is a very fantastic question. So just a quick intro. My name is Palmer Joseph. I've been in the online space for nearly a decade now. In fact, my business has actually generated over 8 figures online as confirmed by that little plaque award there from ClickFunnels, having made sure that we are verified and confirmed it has made over 8 figures online. So that's not here to brag, that's not here to boast, that's just here to tell you that I've been in this space for quite a long time and I want to help you understand how you can do the exact same thing in as little time as possible because I'm going to show you literally all the things that I kind of messed up on along the way, along with my business partner, along with a team, because let's face it, it's almost impossible to get to 8 figures all by yourself. And I'm pretty sure there are unicorns out there that got there. But if you're not going to if you can make like 50K a month for like years upon years, then yeah, you can probably get to 8 figures, but that'll take maybe 40 years. I can't do the math. I'm not good at it, even though I'm Asian. And to me, like 1 + 1 is yellow. Regardless of all that, I want to help you understand how you can actually do this for yourself right now. And if you're wondering what the online business is all about, it's all about building an online education business around your knowledge, your skill set, your experience, literally everything that you use right now that you can actually use to turn into a very profitable long-term solution that will provide you financial freedom, just like it has for me, my family, and basically everyone else that I've worked with or that I even know in the exact same niche or industry that I am in. Regardless to say, I want to get into this just to help you understand how you can do this for yourself too. But prior to all this, let me just move my chair. There is some caveats for you to fully understand how this works for you. So first off, who is this for? I just want you to understand that if you're brand new, if you have no idea what you're doing, which is perfectly fine, I've been there. A lot of people start out at zero. That's just kind of how everything works. So if you're looking to grow from literally $0 all the way to $50,000 per month, I definitely know how to get you there because obviously I had to go through the exact same process to get to that point. Regardless of all that, if that's you, let me know. This will definitely help you out as well. But even so, if you're already skilled, you're already experienced, you do have an offer that's already generating some money, and let's say you're already making like 10, 20, even 30K a month. If you want to get to like 500K plus, I can definitely help you out with that as well. Because again, gone through the exact same process, gone through trials and tribulations, gone through like a bunch of trials and errors, and to get to the point where our best months, like back to back, we've made over like $700,000. And I'll pop up a little screenshot of that. That is just our Stripe account. We have also made money from our PayPal, direct deposits, e-transfers, all that kind of stuff. So altogether, yeah, back to back about 700 to 750 grand every single month. But haven't hit the $1 million mark. Am I pissed off about it? No, absolutely not. Regardless to say, I want to help you understand how you can go about doing this for yourself. But this is all going to come down as we progress into this video. So first off, besides who this is for, there's obviously things that you need to understand who is this not for. And the biggest one is definitely coming down to the fact that if you don't have the experience or a clue on what you actually want to do, this is not going to work. And believe me when I say this, every single one of us, including you, whoever's watching, you have something that you definitely know how to do right now. Hands down, mic drop. Because here's the facts. You're good at something, just about anything if you really just take a moment to reflect back on understanding who do people come up to you for? What kind of advice do they ask you for? What kind of knowledge do they seek from you? And what kind of questions do you ask all the time? That'll probably give you a clue as to what you can actually turn into a profitable online business if you so choose to. But again, don't fall into this whole belief that a lot of people that I see right now, especially on YouTube, if you just go on YouTube right now and just type in like AI automations, AI agents, or like AI workflows, NA10 workflows, whatever the case is, you see a lot of people online around the AI space because it's just such a hot and booming market right now. And it's probably going to be around for decades to come, much like the internet and the whole revolution we had around it. But I see a lot of people come on. And the fact of the matter is, if you don't have the skill set, the knowledge, the experience to actually build automations, you'll get burned. And I see this constantly over and over again. I do have a client that is in that space, but he is already experienced because he got laid off from the tech industry, but he still has all the knowledge around like building all these workflows. He knows how to code, he knows how to program, he knows how to read JavaScript and all that kind of stuff. don't fall into the fact that even though a lot of people in social media, especially YouTube, say NNN is like a no-code platform, to some extent it is. But if you don't understand how to do that, you're going to be screwed. Because the biggest thing you got to understand right now is that a lot of people have this biggest misconception about what they got to do when it comes to building your own knowledge base or building an education business from scratch. They have this firm belief that in order for them to actually start making money, they need to know everything. They need to be an expert in every topic that they're talking about, especially in that specific subject matter that they're choosing. And I'm here to tell you right now, you don't, okay? Because let me explain to you right now. When we first started out, and our previous business was around Amazon FBA, we started out as $500 because at that point in time, let me put it to you in this perspective that is more understandable. Let me give you the spectrum of like 1 to 10. So 1 being like you have absolutely no clue what you're talking about, and 10 being like you're a complete master, you know exactly what's going on. You can literally tell anyone what to do and they'll get this result from it. So a lot of people expect or think that they should be at a 10 right off the bat. Here to tell you right now, you don't. So if you are, let's say, in like the AI space, because I like using it already, let's say you're at 5, okay? What you're trying to do is you're working with people behind you. So anyone from like 4, 3, 2, 1, you want to help them get to your level, which is at a 5. Then you can charge money for that because eventually they will come up to you to where you are and you can charge what value you have for that amount of money. So when we first started, we did it at $500 because we are at like a level 5 at that point to some extent. And then we started moving up, and you can do the exact same thing too. So as you get better, improve, understand your subject matter a little bit better, especially your niche, you slowly, gradually grow up, or you get improved and you get better. So let's say you go from like a 5 to a 6, and now you're working with people from 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and you're moving them up to your 6. And you can actually increase your price to get them to the level that you're currently at. And as the months or years progress, you can go to like a 7, 8, 9, eventually into 10. Then you work all the way through that entire spectrum. Now you have a bigger gap and you charge way more money because you're getting people results. You're getting people the things that they actually want to get them from their current situation to their desired situation. And you charge a lot more money for that. But again, when you're first starting out, even though you're a 5, that's perfectly fine. You have a lot of people way behind you, and all you got to do is that you just have to be a couple steps ahead of them, and you can charge money for that. And that's exactly what we do as we progress. And the best example for this right now is like school. Like college, universities, they do this as well. So if you go into school, you don't really get everything right off the bat because you got to go through like an ascension ladder. Because let's say you come into university, you get your bachelor's degree, you don't know everything yet. In order for you to level up, you have to pay for more information, pay for more knowledge, more experience, and which means I think after a bachelor's degree is like master's, I think. Don't quote me on that. But then, so let's just say bachelor's, then master's, and after that it's a PhD, I believe, or a doctorate or something around that. But eventually, you keep on leveling up and you pay more for every step you take up. And that's essentially what we're doing here too. So that's how you can actually continuously make more money. So if you come back to my example right now, with our previous business, we started out $500, actually $497 to be exact. And as we kept on going, kept on improving, kept on producing more elements that are more helpful to our clients, we went from 500 to 800 to 1,000 to 2,000 to 3,500, 4,500, 48, 58, 6,800, and even all the way up to 7,900. But we finally landed on the fact that 5,800 is the sweetest spot, and that's where we kept it at, and we made a lot of money. And that's exactly what has generated over 8 figures in our business in about 4 years. So I want to help you understand you can do the exact same thing. I'm not here to tell you that it's going to happen overnight, like next month. But I'm here to tell you that it all works if you understand everything I'm going to share with you in this video. Because there are only 4 systems in here. Okay, the very first one is starting with traffic and attention. If you get this system down, you can start bringing a lot of attention into your systems to actually generate you more money. Because once you get this all working around the clock, it's very passive. And you can make a lot more money constantly, each and every single day. And it's going to be very passive, okay? So after that, we have a second one, which is the conversion system or acquisition, whichever we want to call it. We'll get into that as we go. Number 3 is sales. Number 4 is delivery. And I'll help you understand how this all combines together. Now, first off, the biggest one, well, one of the biggest ones is obviously coming down to traffic and attention. So obviously, the best thing we can do is pick a niche that we truly want to understand and how we want to do that. And you'll always have to come back. And I like to use the AI example because I see this constantly throughout the entire AI space. A lot of people come into there thinking that just because it's hot and it's trending, that a lot of people are getting into it, they can make a lot of money. And I'm telling you right now, I see this so many times with so many people coming into the AI space, getting burned, getting nowhere, and spending a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of money to absolutely do nothing because they don't have the actual knowledge or skill set behind that. Because if you're at level, because if you start pretending like you have a lot of knowledge behind it, which you can to some extent, there will be people way ahead of you. They'll call you out if you say something completely wrong, and that's just going to be a really bad no-no. So I like you to understand that if you are at that level that you claim that you are, prove it and just use the experience that you currently already have. Don't try to make yourself or blow yourself up in your image, making it seem like you know so much more, because that will just be the worst thing you do for yourself. And I see so many people do that. And that is why some people do have like a really weird assumption when it comes to online education businesses. And I'm here to tell you right now, if you really want to go far, if you really want to make 8 figures, you really got to take this seriously and stop being a little F-head, needless to say. So once you have your niche down, you have to understand something that is very required for you to fully utilize in your business. And this comes down to what is called the 7-hour rule. What this is basically, it's been researched, it's been proven for many, many years that we live in what is called like the antitrust era right now. So as we progress throughout life, this was very different when I first started out, because back then the whole online education business was not that rampant before. So it was, some people might claim as easier, but overall it's still kind of the same. But today, with so many more people coming on board, there is less and less trust. So in order for you to actually build that trust, you need to get up to about 7 hours. And what I mean by that is they need, like, your prospects, the customers that you're looking to convert into your clients, they need to have at least 7 hours worth of content from you, whichever way, in whichever shape or way or form, for them to start to KLT, which is know you, like you, and trust you. If you can get all those down within those 7 hours, you are so much further ahead than everyone else that is just basically just shooting content out there on its own. And you can do this multiple ways. So first off, sorry, the best one as of today, and probably will be for the next long future, I don't know, it's going to be obviously YouTube. Okay, much like you're watching me right now. And you can do this through Instagram, and you can do this through TikTok, you can do this through LinkedIn, and you can also do this through ads. And I want to apologize for my shitty handwriting. I am a child at heart, but this is the best I can do. And hopefully you understand what this is, but I'm just explaining everything I go because I really don't know how long it's going to go. Regardless of all that, you have to understand the best way to consume, to get people to the 7-hour mark, is to do it in long form video. And that's why YouTube is like the top of the top, and that's the best form or medium you should choose to actually get to that 7 hours. Because like I said, I have no idea how long this video is going to go. I'm just basically riffing this as I go. I'm just explaining to you all the knowledge and experience I've gone through, and hopefully you get some value out of that. And if you do, take a moment, subscribe to the channel, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, because that definitely helps me out a lot, and I'll be making sure I'll provide you as much content, as much experience to help you truly gain whatever knowledge or whatever experience that you need to get to the 50, even 500K mark, because I want to help you see that this is something I've gone through already. So back to the long form content. Again, YouTube videos. Let's just say this YouTube video takes me an hour. I have no idea how long it's going to take, but let's just say it's an hour. And you go through the entire content, which is fantastic. That gets me 1 hour closer to the 7-hour mark, rather than having Instagram or TikTok, where it's like short form content, which is like, I think Instagram's like 90 seconds to 3 minutes right now, I believe. I'm not sure. But yeah, or TikTok, which is basically like just people doom scrolling for hours upon hours upon hours. So I don't really think you get the most trust built from TikTok, and I've tested it out myself. If you want to use TikTok, the best way you can actually do this is to have a link inside your profile in TikTok that drives them into YouTube videos or into your YouTube channel that builds more trust, and then you can start following them in. But let's get to that later on. But you can do the exact same thing with Instagram, but with Instagram, you can just lead them straight into your VSL, which we'll get into in a second here. So you can do all this at the same time. Now, I want to explain to you what the dollar sign is. Again, that comes down to ads. So A lot of people have this belief that in order for you to start growing really, really fast, you have to run ads, which in a logical, rational sense, it makes sense. But at the same time, I don't recommend doing this until you have like a proven product or offer that actually gets people results, or else you're just gonna be burning money. And if you're gonna go down that route and you have nothing that's proven, you don't have an offer that's actually converting, you might as well just get a garbage can, throw a bunch of $100 bills in there, and just torch it on fire. You'll get the exact same results. Because you need to look at ads as if like it's like gasoline, and take your product, your offer, as if it's like a little spark of fire. So your little spark is basically like proven content, proven material that'll get people results that they truly want from whatever it is that you're promising them. It'll get them to that desired situation that you want to get them to. If you don't have that spark, imagine just throwing a bunch of gasoline onto nothing, and guess what? That's just going to be like a big pile of mess. And if that's the case, have you ever tried to clean up a spill of gas? It's disgusting, and it's happened to me before, and it's just absolutely awful. It's just the worst thing ever. So that's what I want you to understand. Do not run ads until you know your offer is proven, because until that point, you're basically just burning a lot. Because at the end of the day, what you want to do is you're trying to build trust and authority in whatever niche that you're in, and you do this through 7 hours in long form content through specifically YouTube, much the same way as you're watching me right now. And you can do this through so many different mediums, but I'm telling you right now, the best one is YouTube. And that's exactly what I've did for many, many years. And as you can see, even though this is a brand new channel, I'm going to grow it to the point that it's going to grow, it's going to get to that point as well. But regardless of all that, that is essentially how you structure your first system when it comes to building traffic or attention to your offer. Now, let's move on to the very second one, and that is around the conversion or acquisition. Now, as you see SLC, SLC, SLC in the first three systems here. I'll get to that in a second once I get to the third phrase to help you understand what that means. But let me help you understand conversion. There's many ways to actually turn your customers into clients. You can do this through your emails, you can do this through VSL, you can do this through webinar, value. You gotta make sure you provide value. You gotta make sure you actually figure out what your client's pain points are, what the promise is, the big result that you're trying to give them. And you gotta use a unique mechanism along with understanding what wants and needs are for your offer. Now, the best thing you can do right now, and I know a lot of people are telling you that webinars do work. They do. I'm not here to tell you that they don't, because that's exactly what we use. That's our medium that we have used in the very first couple of years that we were in business that actually got us to over $2 million. But times have changed. I'm here to help you understand that if you want to run a webinar right now, you should not do that with ads, because webinars tend to be a lot longer, significantly longer, compared to a VSL, which is like 10 to 15 minutes today. So let me give you a better example. For our offer, previously to all of this, how we actually made $2 million was a webinar, which is basically like a completely hands-off, self-checkout type of offer. And we valued at the peak was about $1,997. And we made a ton of money because it was fully automated and it felt great. But today, since webinars are much different than VSLs, our webinar back then was about 2 hours long. Yeah. So imagine people's attention span today. They can't even sit still for more than 7 seconds, so they have like a goldfish memory. So the best way you can actually run a webinar today is by doing it with your actual audience, people that know you, people that like you, people that trust you. Because if you do that through cold ads, you will be burning a ton of money. I'm just telling you that right now. It's different today than it was a few years ago. So I'm just trying to help you explain that. Webinars still do work. The best one you can see that has happened very recently is Alice Hormozi's book launch that made like $100 million in one day. That was a webinar. He didn't call it one, but it definitely was a webinar. I'm telling you that right now. And it was extremely long, but that is how you structure a webinar with an audience that you truly have. And that's how he made 9 figures in literally 24 hours. But needless to say, different to how you are. I'm pretty sure you don't have a massive audience like Hormozi. If you do, why the hell are you watching me? Because you probably know way more than I do. So regardless of all that, understand when it comes to conversion, you have to sell something that is high ticket. I highly recommend that you do that. You don't want to go into low ticket. You don't want to go into like school, because if I come back to the AI example that I'm talking about a second ago, AI right now, if you look at all the big names in the space, like I think this guy named Nate, I don't know, I can't name them. But there's tons. There's a few. And they all lead back to a school community, which is like a monthly subscription, and they charge very little. I think the average price is like $50 to like $80 a month. And you get basically like not bad quality, just lower quality people, because most of them are just like dipping their foot in just to get a feel for the space to see whether or not they actually like it. And chances are, if they are not taking it very seriously, they're not going to get any results. They're just going to drop out. And that's why you have so much churn in the school communities. But that's just my take on it. I'm sure there's a lot of people that disagree, and that's perfectly fine. I myself don't have much experience with school, so I'm not going to talk to you guys about things that I don't really know about, because that's not how I grew up on. That's not where we based our business on. Our business was all around high ticket, and I'm going to tell you right now, you go so much further with high ticket rather than with school. Because if you are thinking this way, imagine you have 100 school community people paying you $50 a month. That sounds amazing, and that's like $5,000. Is my math right? 50 times 100. Yeah, it's $5,000. You're gonna be looking after 100 people, and they're all gonna be asking you really weird beginner level questions. Probably like 90% of them are not gonna take anything seriously. Most of them probably will never even ask you a question. They're just gonna go through content, test it out for themselves, give it a little, like, the weakest effort that they can, and they're gonna realize it's more effort than it is. They're just gonna drop out. But honestly, if you want to make money in anything, you gotta put in some effort. And it doesn't apply to just money. This applies to every aspect of your life. If it comes to your health, your wealth, or your relationships, let's face it, you gotta put effort into all of them. You can't hook up, you can't land opposite sex without any effort. You can't get ripped, you can't get healthy without any effort. In the same way as making money in anything that you do, effort is required across the board. I just want to help most people understand that. But when it comes to the school community, a lot of people, I've seen this across many communities, is that they literally just come in for a month or two and they drop out. But if you have a high ticket customer for like $5,000, what's easier, looking after one person versus 100 different people who are not going to take anything seriously? Because the one person that actually pays you $5,000, guess what? They're going to take it way more seriously because they spent more money, they have more skin in the game. They're obviously going to take whatever program or content that you offer them. They're going to go through it. They're actually going to put in the work. They're going to get the results, assuming that your program or your offer can get them results. And it looks good on you because you got them the results, and they can give you a testimonial. And as you get more testimonials, you get an increased price. But we'll get to that after on. But essentially, the difference between a webinar and a VSL today, and still going forward, is that a webinar is lower ticket compared to a VSL. So a webinar, the essential aspect to that is that you are selling a product. Okay, you're selling your offer through a webinar, and you do that in multiple different ways. And I've gone through this extensively in my own program too. If you want to check that out, let me know. It's in the link in the description. But we won't get into that. But a VSL, the essence to this is that we are selling something high ticket, and we're going to be selling the call rather than the product itself. So it's extremely short. Today, it's 10 to 15 minutes. Because back then, our webinar, like I said, was 2 hours long. As we progressed into a sales call, which required a VSL, which is a video sales letter, that dropped to about 20 minutes to 22 minutes. And now it's brought even further down because of the attention span, which is now about 10 to 15 minutes, which is a sweet spot. And that comes down to you fully understanding how to structure your messaging, how to pull out the pain points, how to provide and present your solution as a thing that's going to get them from their current situation to their desired situation in whichever shape or form that you're showing them. So again, this comes down to understanding the value presenting them. It definitely has to have some. Understanding your client pains, because if you don't understand your client, you can't really speak their language. And if you can't speak their language, they won't be interested in whatever possible solution you're providing them, right? Also, you have to understand what promise you're actually giving to them. That comes with a big result. Because if you give them some sort of promise that sounds mediocre, some sort of, I'll help you make $2,000 in the next 2 months, they're not going to be interested, okay? People like to have this belief that they can get bigger results, even though to some extent it can happen. But overall, people just like hearing that. People like hearing things that are new. People like to feel like they're getting something that no one else has. And that's what brings you down to the unique mechanism. Maybe you've heard of this before, maybe you haven't, but there are two things that people get mixed up a lot. Unique mechanism is basically like a bunch of words that makes your offer sounds different from everyone else, that helps you stand out from like everyone else on the space. And what I mean by that is, how do I say this? So our offer before was around Amazon FBA. And if you understand Amazon FBA to any extent in time, the biggest problem that we have for people that get into the Amazon FBA space is that the biggest thing that they want to know is that their product is going to make money, right? So we can't really make a big promise saying, I'll help you find a product that makes you $10,000, because that sounds like everyone else. So instead, our unique mechanism was 3 words. It came down to product, locator, formula. That was how it stood out. It's somewhat vague. It still gave them a sense of direction to understand what it is all about, but it caused a lot of intrigue, and it made them realize that even if they do search this up on like ChatGPT, Google, they won't find anything. So the only way for them to learn more about what their offer is to get on a call. And where does the sale happen? Where does all the money happen? It comes on a call. So unique mechanism helps a lot. But the other side of that is what is called the USP. So that is the unique selling proposition, which gets mixed up with the unique mechanism a lot. So let me explain to you, I already explained what the unique mechanism is. The unique selling proposition is more like the big promise statement. And what I said a second ago was like, I'll help you make $10,000 by selling products on Amazon. That's kind of like a big promise. But inserting like the unique mechanism into that will help you make $10,000 with the product locator formula blueprint on Amazon FBA that is using both of them at the same time. So that's a good way to look at it, because I'm just taking something that we have used for many, many years that has made us a lot of money. And lastly, I want to help you understand that when it comes to wants versus needs, you also need to understand who your actual client avatar is, because a lot of people come into the space basically having like some sort of VSL telling people exactly what they need, and that's kind of just turning them off, even though that's definitely what they need. So what I mean by that is, even though we could have just gone into like Amazon and said, this is exactly what you're going to have to do, this is exactly what you're going to need, we just sold them exactly what they wanted. So they wanted more financial freedom, they want to get away from their boss, they want to be their own boss, they want to get to travel a lot around the world, they want to do all that kind of stuff. But essentially, we sold them what they want, and you got to do the exact same thing. But at the back end, you give them what they need. Hopefully that makes more sense, but we'll get into that as we progress. Now, let me help you understand. We just gone through the conversion area. Now we're going to come into the third system, and this is all about your sales. So let me help you understand what SLC is. So SLC stands for the straight line concept. This is one of the things that I've learned from one of my mentors, actually a couple of them, that help us to understand how to structure all this together. Because the straight line concept is very important and key for you, because this is kind of what we messed up on when we first started out. Because again, when we first started out, we were pricing it at $500 because we had no idea what the hell we were doing. But again, that's just how things happen, and you just learn as you progress, and you just don't know things that you don't know. So that required us to get in touch with like paying mentors to help understand what exactly it is that we're missing to help us get to the next level. So when it comes to the straight line concept, having everything in the same line, what I mean by that is that when you're talking in terms of your traffic to get people's attention, whatever you're talking about in your videos, especially in long form or short form or whatever content that you have, it has to be in line with everything else. So if I come back to my same example of Amazon FBA, if I talk about Amazon FBA in my YouTube videos and I talk about how it all comes together, I have to make sure that also I'm talking about it in the VSL. I won't talk about anything else. I'm not going to get into like Shopify dropshipping. I'm not going to go into like eBay. I'm not going to go into like affiliate marketing. None of that, because I see a lot of people, they jump around across the board across many different mediums that they're using. And that's kind of just confusing everybody. So you want to make sure that everything is in line. That comes down to your opt-in page is talking about whatever niche you're talking about, whatever the pain point is, and it goes into like your VSL, talking about the exact same pain points, exact same presentation of your solution. Your emails have the exact same thing, and along with your sales call, everything has to be in line. Everything has to be straight line in order for them to constantly be reminded that whatever it is that you're presenting to them in terms of the solution that you're giving them is exactly the same. Because if you go off tangent by a little bit, let's say you're talking about Amazon in your YouTube videos, but they get into your landing page for your VSL or your opt-in, and you start talking about something completely different. You're talking about emails, you're talking about Shopify, they're just going to drop out because now they're confused. They have no idea what's happened. The best thing you can do is just to assume that the moment they click into something else, they just black out and they forget. So you got to remind them all over again what it is that you're offering. So you do that through everything, as well as at the very end, which is the sales call. You got to remind them exactly what it is that you're providing. So everything has to be in a straight line. Your opt-in page, your VSL, your thank you page, your confirmation page, your emails, everything has to be the same throughout the board, because any point in time that you bring up something else, people get confused and they leave, and you don't want that. And that came from a lot of testing on our own to realize that that is actually true. Now, let me help you understand. When it comes to your sales calls, this basically just comes down to understanding you can do this all through Zoom. I know some people like to do this through Google Meets. I myself have no experience with Google Meets, so I use Zoom. And Zoom has been very handy for me. I have all my calls recorded there. It helped me review it to help me understand how to improve. And also like our salespeople, because obviously in order to grow to 8 figures, you need people behind you doing the exact same thing. And you have a very limited amount of time because you can't take that many calls each and every single day. You'll get burnt out, your throat will get parched, and you'll just get completely annoyed talking to people over and over again. So you need people to do that. So regardless of all that, as soon as you master traffic, as soon as you master your conversion or acquisition systems, which brings them into the next step, you can talk about sales. The sales calls, again, will just boils down to the wants and needs, and also bring into the pain points. So what do we do in the sales calls? It really comes down to understanding what their situation is. So you want to understand what the current challenges are, why do they want to do it right now, and you want to bring up as much emotions as you truly can, because that in itself is what actually sells. Because if you really think about this, as human beings, we buy off of emotion in basically everything that we do, and we try to justify it, our purchase, with some logic, which makes absolutely no sense. Let me give you an example. So I have a lot of friends, not a lot, a few, and they're women, and they like to buy these very expensive Chanel bags. And believe me when I say, I'm super annoyed whenever I see this, because they drop like 15 to 20K on this bag that literally is exact same as your other one, just in a different color. And it's literally 15, 20 grand. And when I ask them, what the hell you put in these bags? It's literally just a comb, my cell phone, my keys, and a little tiny wallet. That's literally it. And that literally just takes up probably like a third of the bag in the inside. So the rest of it is literally just carrying around air. So it's kind of like a weirdest thing. I can never understand it. I myself am not a female, but I know a lot of females love bags. And to me, I can just never understand it. I can't wrap my head around it. They try to explain it to me whichever way is possible. But again, they are buying off of emotion because that is a status symbol to them. And they try to justify it by saying that it's an investment. And I always come back to them and ask them, it's like, how is that an investment? Well, it's going to cost more later on in the future. Who the hell is going to buy it for more money when I can buy the exact same thing, brand new, somewhere else for probably a little bit cheaper? Well, no, it's an investment. Like, whatever. It's just, I'm going to go into a complete rant there. But yeah, that's how I can explain emotion. People buy emotion. So if you can pull that all out during sales calls, you'll make a lot more money. So what we want to essentially do is to fully understand what the current situation is and where do they actually want to get to in their desired situation. Maybe it is going from starting off complete zero, having no idea how to do whatever promise it is you're providing them. Let's say it's how to navigate through divorce, because I'm just using one of my clients that I worked with recently that made a lot of money. He helps people navigate through divorce. So the current situation that he had in his offer is helping the men that he works with understand how to basically get themselves out of that whole situation, from being traumatized, from feeling like they can never get to love another person ever again, and just to fully heal all over again. And that's a desired situation. And you have to bring that out during a call, because if you can't do that, there's no emotion. They won't feel like it's important or urgent enough, and they won't buy. And we want them to feel like they're in pain, and we do that all throughout a call. That is why the sales calls are very important, and it's all structured properly. Once you get this all handled down, along with these two, holy crap, you make a lot of money. You really would. It's crazy. So Along with that, the biggest one is to understand why they even want to do it right now. And you want to do that in a call. Because if they have no sense of urgency and they are just trying to pass it off, trying to get some information out of you, just trying to see what you're all about, then you won't make any sales. And you have to always pull this out. And one of my biggest mentors, this guy named Cole Gordon, he had the 7 beliefs. I won't go into this really, really deep, but there are 7 things that you have to ask for during a call to fully understand. And you want to get that all out of the way during a discovery call. And I'll get into this in a separate video to go more into depth. I just don't want to go into this video too long because I'll just start rambling. But anyways, there are 7 beliefs you have to explain or extract from the customer during a call before you even get to the pitch, before you even drop the investment. Because if you miss any of those, it'll only bring up more objections after they know what the price is, and it's going to make things a lot harder for yourself. So we always want to know everything during the call, before the pitch, prior to the price drop or the price investment, and then you won't have any objections and you actually make a lot of money. Again, I'll get into that a lot deeper. If you want to know more about that, more in depth, then drop me a comment down below and just tell me 7 beliefs and I'll make a whole video about that. I'll go really into depth because I can just see that this video is going a lot longer than I'm assuming. But hopefully getting some content out of this. Last one, once you get this all dialed in, it's all in a straight line. Lastly, we're going to talk about delivery. So delivery is obviously a system in itself. And I want to tell you right now, you should most likely have a program up front, because if you don't, then you're kind of just wasting a bunch of time. You can still have some sort of like POC, which is a proof of concept, which is important for you as well, because I don't really recommend building out this entire like offer, entire product right off the bat before you even verify that it actually makes money. So what I highly recommend is having like 20, 30% of it done. So at least you can have like the first maybe 2-3 weeks ahead of time. So when you do make any sales, you can get people in there, start going through the content, and you can start dripping people in as they progress. So like week 4, assuming that your first 3 weeks are done, your week 4 will come out 7 days later. Week 5 will be another 7 days later, and you'll start stepping in gas and putting more effort to put in the content for people who have already paid. Because if you build a whole program, let's say it's like a 12-week program, I'm just making stuff up. Let's say you spent like weeks putting that together, and you have no idea, you have not verified whether or not people actually want it, people actually want to pay for it. You spent all the time, all that effort to realize that people don't actually want to pay for it. You just wasted a bunch of your time, and that is something that I see a lot of people do. Believe me, that is kind of like a big thing that people try to get into. So I really highly recommend only doing 20-30% ahead of time. And then once you have confirmed that at least you have like 5 people actually paying you a good chunk of money, then at least you have some income, at least you have some self-esteem, you have some confidence to actually push through, and you just drip your content as you progress, and you'll get so much further and so much more ahead than just doing it all ahead of time and just thinking that everybody wants it. Because the biggest assumption that people have is that they think that whatever product that they have is going to be something that people want. And here to tell you right now, if you have not verified any of this right off the bat, you'll be wasting a lot of time, and I don't want that for you. So again, when it comes to your delivery system, this is, what the hell is that? What the hell did I draw? Oh, it's a gift box. We're going to be delivering a gift box, and that's essentially like your program. So this can be broken down in many different ways, and throughout the years that we've been doing this, the best one obviously is going to be a group, kind of like a do-it-yourself, plus a group with like weekly coaching calls. If you want to get more money out of it, and you're willing to spend more time with people and work with them one-on-one, you can obviously charge a lot more because it's more out of your time, it's more out of your day. But you can do it 2 different ways: group with weekly coaching calls, or one-on-one, which will cost them more money. You can give them both options, but I highly don't recommend doing something that's done for you. I highly don't recommend that. I did that one time, and I'll tell you right now, it was like the most painful thing in the world. It was not worth the effort, time, because it was just a lot of back and forth, because how the client back then sees it is completely different from how I saw it. So there was like a lot of tweaking constantly over and over. It was just a lot of wasted time because there's things that get lost in translation a lot. So I highly don't recommend doing having done for you things that you can just give them right off the bat where it's like 100% done for you. Don't do that. I do recommend doing it, providing them like the do-it-yourself plus the group coaching. That will go a lot further, and it's significantly easier on you overall. But you can also do the one-on-one, like I said, just charge a little bit higher because, again, that takes more out of your day. That takes more personal time out of your calendar. But if you want to go through those two, which I do right now, it works very well, very, very well. And I do the one-on-one quite a bit because I find that the most results that people get with what I do is actually doing one-on-one because it's more specific, it's more customized, it's more personalized to exactly their situation that they're currently having right now, rather than a group where it's kind of like a little bit more generic. But overall, you still provide support in either direction, but it just depends on how much more support, on how much closer they are to you in getting said support. And also, if you want to learn any of this right now, I do have, or I created a fully done, a do-it-yourself like program where you can actually like jump in and actually build out all the systems. It's the exact same systems that I use today. If you like to check that out, you can check out my link in the YouTube description down below. You can find it inside of my frequently asked questions because I kind of hid it in there because it worked really, really well. Because there are people that would like or prefer to not do one-on-one because maybe they don't want to spend more money. Maybe they're just starting out. They just want to just spend less and just get all the information as possible. You can do that too. And that's kind of what I did. And I found that to work very, very well. If you want to check that out, again, links in the description. It is a group program. It's do it yourself, but I provide everything. All the systems are done. All you got to do is plug it in. 90% of the work is done for you as well. And the last 10% is basically just tweaking it to your offer, your brand, and that's kind of all it is. So it just makes things a lot easier. But that's how you deliver something. Make sure you understand ahead of time, before you even get to all this, that you need to know how you're going to present your offer, either one-on-one or group. But once you get all this in line, once you get this all tuned up, once you get all optimized, holy shit, it's going to make you a lot of money. And it's exactly what we have done over the last few years, with some tweaks today, because things have definitely changed, to how we actually made, to this date, $14.2 million. So if you want to check that all out, fantastic. Hopefully that made sense to you. If you have any comments for me, if that didn't make sense, I'm more than happy to go more into depth into any of these. Just leave me a comment down below. If you do want to know and understand what the backstory is to how this all came together, then I'll put the little card in the corner there just to help you understand like how this happened and like the origin story of how everything came to fruition, and I'll throw that up. But until the next video, I'll catch you in the next one. Thanks for watching.